yesterday's former mayoral candidate for Ekurhuleni, Refiloe Nt'sekhe, surprised many with her absence during yesterday's inaugural council sitting. This led to the party's Tania Campbell being elected as the Metro's mayor. She joins us now. Refiloe, good evening. Of course, many people, having seen your face as the Ekurhuleni candidate, this is during the campaign trail, were expecting to hear your name being called out for the position of mayor yesterday. You were nowhere in sight. What has happened?
Well, good evening to you, and let me greet your viewers, but particularly the residents of Ekurhuleni. First of all, I was at the council chambers yesterday. I was a party agent for the team because there were three different counting venues. I was counting in the old council chambers. But here's the thing. Everybody knows politics is a game of numbers. And when I stood for this position and was then told I'm the successful candidate, I was asked multiple questions. As you know, I'm sitting as a member of the provincial legislature here in Gauteng. I was asked, Refiloe, what will happen if we lose the municipality? And I gave my leadership assurance to say, if we don't win outright or in a stable coalition, I'm not going to stay behind and be a councillor for the municipality of Ekurhuleni. But if we win in a stable coalition or win with an outright majority, which was my intention to win Ekurhuleni with an outright majority, then I would have stayed on and become the mayor for the city of Ekurhuleni. So when we went into the elections, the results got announced. We got 28.72%, and the party made a resolution at the federal level to say we will not go into coalition with EFF and we will not go into coalition with the ANC. And so doing the numbers for Ekurhuleni, it was very clear to me that no matter which way I mixed the numbers, the Democratic Alliance could not govern Ekurhuleni at 28.7%. On the 8th of November, I submitted my resignation to the provincial structures of the Democratic Alliance because I knew there was no way we could govern Ekurhuleni. And so I didn't even attend the caucus meetings or join in terms of being elected as on any of the caucus structures. I just asked them, can I come through as a guest to support the team because I know we have lost? And that was really what I felt had happened with regards to Ekurhuleni when I submitted my resignation on the 8th of November, calculating the numbers.
Does this
I then was told because of COVID,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Because of COVID, they could only accommodate me as a party agent, and I was more than happy to go and support the team as a party agent. On arrival, obviously we started, and when they started with the speaker position, I was more shocked than probably everybody that our speaker candidate, because as a biggest opposition, our tradition is to put up a candidate anyway, even if we lose, but we still put up a candidate. And when Raymond Dlamini was elected as the speaker, I thought, oh my gosh, the DA is actually winning this municipality. But I could not rescind my resignation at that time because I'd already signed up as a party agent and I had not gone through the rest of the other procedural side of things internally. And so Tania got elected as the mayor because I think that is the main thing, Tania Campbell. And I'm very happy for Tania that there's still somebody in the DA who's going to run with the municipality and govern. But here's the reality. John even mentioned that this morning. Ekurhuleni is going to be a very unstable government because it's not an outright win, and we never went into coalition talks with the EFF. They shocked us by even supporting the DA candidate. So we don't know how long we'll be in government for. It could be a week, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, but the reality is we know from history the EFF has never supported us for the full 5 years of being in government. And so for me, it was a particular shock. It was a bittersweet moment because, yes, I was the face of the campaign. And I'm going to be honest, as much as I support Tania, having worked so hard as a mayoral candidate, this was my dream to actually lead the municipality and implement my vision. But you can't implement a vision when you don't have a 5-year mandate.
I suppose it really speaks to the tumultuous nature that the negotiations amongst different parties has been like over the last 2 weeks. Was there any room in this numbers crunching that you and your organization were busy with for you to stay a little longer and see how things play out? Or was it just clear that where things stand, the DA is not really in a position to enter into coalition governments with any of the parties that look like viable options? Because again, if that is the definitive view, in and of itself, it has a bearing for what Ms. Campbell is going to be able to achieve as mayor.
Look, I think we need to look at the reality here. The party makes a federal resolution that we will definitely not go into government with ANC. We went into this election to remove the ANC, who ended up with 38%. The party makes a decision that we will not govern with EFF. That's why we didn't even consult EFF on coalition talks. And they had 13%. So whichever way you look at it, to get over the 50+1% threshold of being in government, you need either the ANC or the EFF plus the other parties. I don't want to talk about the other parties because without the EFF, you still wouldn't get to the 50+1%. So nobody anticipated the fact that EFF would then decide they want to kick the ANC out, and then they put us in government as the Democratic Alliance in Ekurhuleni.
What does that mean, for the organization going forward? I mean, do you think that after what happened yesterday and even today, Tshwane being added, Mogale City being added as just yet more metros where the DA now has mayors, that some of these definitive positions may begin to change now that there is, of course, a lot more that is at stake?
Look, I think the reality is we are not new to politics. We know that these governments are going to go into unstable governments, and at any time, the DA could be taken out of government by EFF. This is something we saw in 2016, if you remember what happened in Nelson Mandela Bay to us. So we learned from history, and I had to make a very painful but difficult decision on behalf of myself, the organization, and also you need to consider the fact that I'm still the only member of the provincial legislature from Ekurhuleni. So I can still serve residents of Ekurhuleni from a provincial level, even though I stood as a mayoral candidate. Because if we cannot govern outright or in a stable coalition, I don't think for me personally, and I need to look at personally what I'm looking at. You must remember you're talking to somebody who's a single mother who's got 3 children, and I needed to make these decisions based on how would I look at myself with my children if we lost the municipality in a week, in 3 weeks' time, and then have to revert to being an ordinary councillor.
So there were a lot of personal considerations then in it for you in terms of coming to the final decision. What does the future look like?
Absolutely, because these are the questions I was asked when I had become the successful candidate for this mayoral position. To say, Refiloe, would you stay a councillor if we lose the municipality? And I said, no, I will not stay a councillor. My job is to go and maximize the votes and try and get us into government with either a stable coalition or an outright win. And we didn't achieve that. And the reality is residents get the party they vote for. If we didn't achieve an outright win, it does not make sense for me to stay. Tania has applied as a councillor, and she's still going to be a councillor. Whether she stays a mayor or the EFF pulls the mayorship out of her. She has already been a councillor, and she had applied to be a councillor.
What does the future then look like now that you have seen that it is possible and you know, it was just within reach for you?
I think the future for me is for the people of Ekurhuleni to learn that when we ask them to trust us with a vote, to trust us with the vote, because I would never have resigned had we had a coalition that was stable or an outright majority. Today, as Refiloe Nt'sekhe, the vision I had outlined to the people when I was on the campaign trail, I would be starting to implement, starting today, hitting the ground running. The fact that as you interview me today, it's not load shedding. Load shedding ended around 4 o'clock. We are now in power outages because of poor maintenance of substations in Ekurhuleni. I could have started to say, what is the 15-year master plan looking like to make sure that even if Eskom puts us on load shedding, what do our substations in Ekurhuleni look like when load shedding ends? Are we able to at least contain what is in control of the domain of the municipality? And I think Tania will try, but how long she has in terms of getting those plans activated is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be a stable ride. But I will be there as well, supporting her 100%.
We're going to have to leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for coming onto the show there.